All
All
right.
right. What's going on, everybody? Season 2 of the Everything NYJ podcast. We are back. Liam, Italy Jet, we have a very special guest, Ali from Loyal NY Jets fans. Ali, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. We have some breaking news on our hands right now, so
Oh, yeah.
let's get into it for sure.
Yeah. Gino, how you doing?
Long day, but yeah, I don't know how to feel about the breaking news, but long day, been very busy, but doing good. Glad to talk Jets tonight.
Yeah, I hear you, man. So, obviously, yeah, the breaking news, the Jets have parted ways with Mike LaFleur. Some saw it coming, some didn't. What are you guys' thoughts on it?
Start with you, Ollie.
Ali?
Well, you know, I wanted him to go because in a way where I saw what was on the field is no touchdowns in 3 games is very concerning. Even no matter who's out on the field, no matter who you have on the field, the play calling was not great. And I understand the perspective of his that he had to work with 4 quarterbacks this year, and they all sucked. And to just not be able to move the ball, I understand that, and I think he wanted to go see other options because there are other teams that are interested in him. And I do like Mike LaFleur. I think if he had the right tools around him, and maybe a little bit more coaching from another coach to help him out, I think he could be a really good offensive coordinator. But hopefully it's for the best. I'm not gonna cry about it. Of us letting him go. It's just about if the Jets can get the hire correct and get the right person in charge. You're definitely bringing in a veteran quarterback in. That's kind of a gimme by now, but we just don't know who. So we're gonna have to see which partner works the best for the Jets. But Lafleur leaving, um, I hate to say it, but it's business, and Salah definitely wanted him to stay around because they knew each other from San Francisco. But there was a lot of miscommunication on the field. You could see that um, with the quarterbacks, and he had to work with the. He didn't know honestly which quarterback he will have every week, which is very hard for an offensive coordinator to game plan for that
Hmm.
perfectly because you either Mike White or you putting Joe Flacco in. Zach Wilson getting benched halfway through the game. You don't know what's going to happen. So um, I give him the benefit of the doubt, but I think this is a bold move for the New York Jets. But if they don't hit on an offensive coordinator, this looks really crappy of them to do, just because they need they need some type of help to get this offense rolling because they have talent on there. Go get your quarterback and this offensive coordinator. Hopefully, can come in and get this team on to where we want it to be.
Direction. Yeah. I hear you, man. I hear you. Gino, what are you thinking?
You know, I think my problem is not really with. I think it's 50-50 with me. Like I have a 50% problem with him and the 50% not. I think, he's dealt with a lot this year. I think with the injuries and even the O-line issues in the quarterback, there wasn't consistency. But yeah, I mean, is red zone calls that not doing stuff on third and fourth down, like it wasn't that great. But like I think I think they really do regret, they should have sat Wilson out for longer. I think they regret that they should have brought in a QB coach. Like I think there's a lot of regrets going on, but overall, I know Woody wants to like maybe, you know, not do
Yeah.
replace a lot of people in just on the offense. But I think for LaFleur, if they got in someone like a Frank Wright, I know me and Liam talk about Frank Wright all the time. Like we like him, we want him in, whether it's a QB or some coach or maybe an offensive coordinator. But for Lafleur, it was either going to come down to maybe they're just going to do the whole staff and keep Lafleur, or they're just going to clean house. And I'm really interested to see what they do in the offseason as an offensive coordinator. But overall, it was a 50-50 for me for LaFleur.
Yeah, 100% because it was very clear in Joe Douglas's press conference that he was pissed. Like Robert Sala was more like nonchalant, like, "Hey, like, we last year we simulated being, in December football. This year we were. Next year we're gonna win games." Like, come on, man. Like that irritated the hell out of me to be completely honest. And then Joe Douglas, trying to save his job, he's like, "Listen, like Robert Sala, he could fire him if he wants. He could keep him, he could do whatever the hell he wants." He's kind of holding Robert Sala, Robert Sala, if you want to succeed here, you make that decision. And there was a lot of reports too that Woody Johnson wasn't happy. And I mean, obviously they were all pissed off, but it was very because Woody Johnson isn't really in the news anymore. He kind of just like sat back. So when you hear he's pissed, it's kind of a big deal. I I kind of wasn't expecting them to let go of Mike LaFleur just because I thought it would have been done by now. I thought like that would be like a Monday morning thing, and just the way that Robert Saleh continually, to double down on Mike LaFleur, especially with their past, their friendship. I thought that he was going to be able to stick around for one more year. Personally, I'm glad he's gone. Like Gino said, some of the play calling was just horrendous. I feel like kind of like Zach Wilson, he's gotten worse. Like year one, we saw a lot of that creativity. We haven't really seen a creative Mike LaFleur play call since that Steelers game where Braxton Berrios threw the touchdown pass to Zach Wilson. I can't think of many other creative play calls, any gadget plays since then. That could be a reason why third and long, they're handing the ball off instead of taking a shot. I understand the risk of taking the shot, but still, sometimes you have to. You're playing meaningful games. There's a lot of line. You don't just hand the ball off to Ty Johnson on 3rd and 19. With that being said, obviously we will be bringing in a new offensive coordinator. Ali, who do you think that offensive coordinator will be?
There's gonna be a line of options. I feel like there's like 100 names out there right now. Everyone that's thrown out. I've heard Gary Kubiak. That's people are hoping that he comes out. But I think Rich Simi said that he
They do.
won't. But if somehow Robert Saleh can convince him to come out, that'd probably be the ideal for the Jets. People are saying Chris Morgan from the Bears. Um, who else? I mean, Cliff is that a
Queensbury, yeah.
you never know. He's gonna be looking for a position too. So just having Cliff, that might be pretty nice for us. So there's gonna be a lot of options, but again, it's gonna go. I want this to happen correctly, and I hope they know that is that when you talk to your offensive coordinator and doing all these interviews, figure out what quarterback the guy wants. Figure out what he can do to help that quarterback because there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks available for us to go get. There's going to be Jimmy G, you maybe Rodgers, Derek Carr, pipe dream of Lamar Jackson. You never know. But pick out the quarterback with the offensive coordinator so it actually works and gels and this offense can move the ball. I do not think they're going to quit on Zach Wilson. I don't think they're going to let him go. I can see them hanging him on until maybe training camp and see if another quarterback goes down in the league. They're going to trade him out there. That's my thinking. But if not, they're going to be happily keep him on the roster. So just seeing for the offense coordinator perspective, we just need to figure out who our quarterback is because it doesn't look very attractive right now for the Jets because we have absolutely no quarterback. We have an aging Joe Flacco who's off the team. Mike White, his hype has pretty much gone downhill. Zach Wilson can't play, and Streveler is just too much to handle. Like we stop naming him as our quarterback. I mean, we're gonna have to find a new quarterback, obviously, and then from that we figure out what to do next.
Okay.
Man, I love everything you said. For me, I would love to see Kubiak come back. I'll do like the Cliff Kingsbury thing, but I'm with you. I want them to do this correctly. I want to do what's best for this offense because we have a lot of weapons, and now we have to figure out to get a wide receivers coach too. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do this offseason because I just really want everything not only be done right, but I want everyone to be happy so we can take another step. I mean, we're ahead of the rebuild. Like, I want to be a playoff team this year. So whatever happens, I'm going to root for whoever's there, but I want this to be done correctly.
Is there any one specific guy that you guys want more? Like, is there like one number one option for you, Ali, and then we'll get to Gino?
Can you repeat that? You went in and out.
Oh, sorry. Is there any like one specific person that you would prefer for the offensive coordinator job?
Frank Wright is he's probably the number one. And then, I mean, I guess Cliff is up there because I do like Cliff a lot. I did not trust that offense over there that he had to deal with in Arizona. I think if he comes here, I think he'll be fitted an offensive coordinator and be able to just handle the offense. And I don't think he could handle a full team. And I think if we just get him, I think honestly he probably could work with Lamar Jackson very well. If we somehow went out and got Lamar Jackson, I think that would be
Right.
very attractive for us to get him there. Um, it's just about what they want to do here. I don't know what, because I want to see is Robert Salah and Joe Douglas making the move, or the front office like Woody Johnson and then making this move. That's what I'm questioning because they both of them have two different perspectives on what to do. And apparently the mutual parting with LaFleur was because of coaching. I think the coaches decided that they asked him, and he pretty much said, "I want to go do something else, and I don't want to be here anymore." So I think that was just the coaching. But if Woody Johnson's making the decision, I do not trust that at all. If Joe Douglas or Robert Salah are making the move, fine. I'll be fine with wherever they go after. But if they go after Cliff, that'd be that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Joe Douglas and Salah. I think Woody Johnson kind of is, he's best just staying out of it. I think so far, like that's what he's done. Gino, what are you thinking?
Yeah, those are my number ones, Frank Wright and Cliff. I love Cliff. What he did with the Cardinals. I know this year, was a disappointing year for them, but I think it would be really really cool to see him in a Jets coaching staff and also Frank as well. But yeah, those are my guys.
Yeah, definitely. And I've also been hearing reports that like Eric Bieniemy might, his contract's expiring. I don't see him becoming like another offensive coordinator though. I think
No,
if anything, he deserves a head coaching shot.
Yeah,
You know, hey, sign me up for that. I mean, if Eric Bieniemy somehow does work out coming
he's
here,
not
I would be
leaving Patty Mahomes for an offensive coordinator job
I
in New
don't
York.
I
right,
don't think he
right.
is either. It's just like it's funny like when all like this, when we fire a coach because I was seeing, oh, bring Adam Gase back, like I'm like what? I'm just seeing like such like
No,
ridiculous things.
You
I've been
might as
seeing
well
Nathaniel Hackett.
you might as well bring Doel Loggins or whatever his name is.
Yeah, yeah, Dowell Loggins, the best flag holder in the NFL. Absolutely, man. But yeah, I mean, if we could find a way to get Gary Kubiak here, that would be like amazing. Cliff Kingsbury, I like that too because he has experience, managing a whole team. So that kind of brings like a little bit of like veteran leadership here as well. So, it's just find a way, like you said, just find a way to get it done. Do your due diligence. Who is the best? What I think what it really comes down to is what do you want your offensive identity to be? That's really what it comes down to. Um, with that being, so do you think that we have a legit chance of getting Lamar? I feel like obviously we don't have the cap space, but just I'm not saying mortgage the farm, but just find a way. If somehow he does become available, find a way. It's just we can. I'm done screwing around. I'm done with the whole is Mike White the guy? I don't trust Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he really cares anymore. He's old. He's done. Derek Carr. I think he's very overrated. I've been negative on him this whole entire time. Can't play in cold weather. I understand his defense hasn't been great, but he's had a lot of talent around him and he hasn't been great. Jimmy G was my preferred option, has the relationship with Salah, more of a plug and play. The only problem I do have with him is his injuries. Out of those quarterbacks, what are you thinking? Or do you think it's somebody else?
I mean, for Lamar Jackson, if he somehow magically becomes available, I would give up 3 first-round picks for the next 3 years because you're not going to get a player of that caliber who's already ready to go than Lamar
Yeah,
Jackson. That it's just worth it. He's a guy that you're almost a quarterback away from being competitive. Your team is ready to go, and you have a good defense. You still got some improvements to make, but you still have a very good defense back there. You have an offensive weapons. You have Garrett Wilson. He wishes he has Garrett Wilson in Baltimore.
yeah,
He wishes he had Brees Hall in the backfield. He wishes he has Elijah Moore out there. You have 3 tight ends as well. You have so many weapons on this team. He would love to play with these guys. And if you get the right coordinator for him, Lamar Jackson will be worth every penny. Because look, when people bring up cap space and stuff, I'm like, it's not my money, right? I'm not burning the
yeah,
money in. They'll make it work. They always make it work. You've seen other
yeah.
teams make space, and we can cut a couple people and have a
Look at
lot
the
of cap space
Rams.
as well. So we could be a top 10 with cap space if we cut a couple people. So if he's available, somehow he's available, make that splash and be the number one person and not let that phone hang up because Lamar Jackson is worth every penny. He is coming off an injury. His price might be a little lower because they might tag him and trade him. That's kind of what they're probably going to look for. Um,
Yeah.
so if there's any possibility that Lamar Jackson's available, so you give them 3 first round picks or whatever it is, get it done. Just get him, and if he's available, because he will change your offense. Now, obviously that's a pipe dream, but being realistic, Jimmy G is an option, and I think Jimmy G went a little bit away with LaFleur being gone. I was more on the board with Garoppolo just because LaFleur was there and he knows him obviously from San Francisco. So I thought more of Garoppolo, but even with that, I think Jimmy G still has talent. I think he can move the ball, and we just need a guy that can move the ball and make those simple throws, and that's what he would be able for us to do. If we do go Jimmy G way, we need to improve that offensive line, obviously, because of his injury prone. He is. So, and then
Yeah.
Derek Carr is. I don't know. I'm not really liking Derek Carr a lot. So, it's either Jimmy G. I mean, you can put a play for Rodgers and see if he wants out in Green Bay. I think he'll love this team right now that we have, and he would love these weapons that are on the Jets. But it's gonna be interesting what they do because there's a lot of options for the Jets, and realistically, going to the off seasons, there's not many quarterbacks available. And for the year that the Jets actually need one, and trying to overlook their young quarterback, they have options out there for veterans that can actually come in and play football and win you games, and know how to win football games. So the Jets have a lot of options, but if Lamar Jackson is out there, you definitely have to do whatever it takes to get in there.
I agree. And then we have a comment here from James Thompson, where he just, I'm gonna pull it up here if I can. Yeah, where he basically just mentions like, what if he gets hurt again? If that's like the situation, do you think that we're going to keep like a Mike White on the team? Do you think he makes the team again this year, or do you think he's
Look, injuries is part of the game, and we can't dictate that. He's the guy that would change your team when he's on the field. That's kind of
yeah,
how you have to look at it. You can't look at the injury perspective of it. Yeah, he got hurt. He already hurt his knee, but a lot of people have hurt their knee and they've been fine for the rest of their careers. So you can't just base it off that injury. Obviously, they're going to have 3 quarterbacks on the roster. You're still probably going to have Zach Wilson on the field, on the second string or whatever it is. And then you might want to bring Mike White back. I know there's mutual interest of bringing him back. You have those guys there, and then you get Lamar Jackson as your number one. Maybe they both learn. When you have a
yeah,
guy that's won MVP, um, being on your team and your quarterback. You have an MVP caliber quarterback on your team. That does enough for any quarterback to learn a little bit. And just for Zach Wilson perspective, I think that's what we needed to do is let him sit and just learn, more than just throw him on the field. I still think he's fixable. I think he still can play football. He has talents. It's just in his head. And I think that's what the mental error is with Zach Wilson. He sucks right now, and I can openly say that he sucks, but he can
yeah,
get better because we have seen that with Sam Darnold. We saw that with Geno Smith. They all sucked here, but they showed flashes as well, and now they're doing decent in their respective teams. So you just got to look at that perspective. Lamar Jackson coming in, you're bringing an MVP quarterback if he comes in, and you're an instant playoff contender.
Do you think the with things going the way they're going when it comes to free agency right now, I know Reed, it looked like Reed was one of the, well, probably the best signing we've had for free agency. Is there any other guys that you would want at the wide receiver position or anybody on the offense that you would like as a free agent?
Free agent. That's becoming a free agent, or like we snag someone from free
Be,
agent.
that's become a free agent and just snag someone overall.
I haven't really looked at the free agent market. I don't know who's
That's fine.
available. I know the wide receiver market is kind of thin.
Mhm.
So that's why, like with Corey Davis, people are saying to cut him and everything like that. I don't know yet. I don't know if I want to release him just yet. Because yeah, he has had some drops here and there. He's had some miscues, but he also comes clutch for us when he's out there. And he makes some clutch plays. I think Denzel Mims will be out there a lot more. I think they finally fixed something in him that they like. And he'll be out on the field a little bit more. And I think he still has talent. So, I mean, Corey Davis and Mims are kind of the same player on the
Yeah.
field when they're, he's pretty much a replacement. So, just seeing what's available, I'm not sure. We have to look at the safety market and who do we do on the defensive side at least. That's the position I really want to see. Offensive line, I'm going to focus more on the draft.
Yeah.
Get someone, a couple of guys, just draft offensive linemen. You just got to see which works because that's what if we go out and get like Lamar Jackson or Jimmy G, we need to protect with him like no matter what. So whoever's back there needs the protection. So I'm not sure exactly. I haven't looked at that yet. Getting closer to free agency. But they just have to. The market is weak this year. It's simple as that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not that great. A lot of people are going to get overpaid. A lot of people are going to get. I don't want to be a part of that overpaying this year, unless it's for Lamar Jackson. It's something that I just don't want to do.
Yeah, especially like the thing with Corey Davis, like that brings up a good point too, because I haven't really been the hugest fan of Corey Davis, to be completely honest. When he makes plays, he makes plays. Like, like he does have the ability to wow me. He's been Zach Wilson's favorite target over, his first 2 years. It's just, it's the healthiness, it just concerns me. The drop passes concern me. But the whole thing with Corey Davis is, like you said, like not only is it a weak market, in this upcoming free agency, but it's just the going rate for a wide receiver is just out of, it's just insane. It
Yeah.
really is, so hoping that we could get Corey Davis on, a much affordable contract again, and not even just Corey Davis, like a lot of these like receivers, a lot of like just guys on the Jets, think like, Carl Davis and a couple other guys, Carl Lawson, excuse me, a couple other guys. Just if we could just restructure their contract, I think that'd be like the best way to go, because like I think we have a lot of talent on this team with our free agents. It's just a lot of guys, including Corey Davis, they're just not earning their keep. They're not earning the money that they're making. Joe Douglas obviously could get out of the deal after this year with Corey Davis. I don't think he's gonna move on from him. I'm seeing in the comments here, Jacoby Myers, Juju Smith. Not really a huge fan of him. I'm
And
seeing
Lazard too,
Lazard. Yeah,
I mean,
so
I would get Lazard if you get
or
Rodgers.
or Gabe Davis too from the Bills. It's
Gabe
another
Davis
one.
too,
I
yeah.
think they're going to keep him.
Yeah.
The Bills, yeah, I think so too. But it's just like, Gino, would you keep Corey Davis or?
I love Corey Davis, but I rather see. I'm a huge Corey Davis fan, but it's if I had a chance to go get Gabe Davis or Lazard, I like both of them. But if you can get Davis cheap, then I'll probably
You
stick
know,
with him.
you
But I
know
do
another
like
interest,
Lazard and Davis.
yeah, another interesting name I saw defensive related is that Poyer's gonna become available too. So maybe get rid of Whitehead and you add like Poyer or something. I
I
would
mean,
do that in a
Poyer's going to
heartbeat.
have some big money. So,
Yeah, exactly right. And then Bates
Yeah,
too. Got to look at Bates because he's going to want big
I
money
mean, if you
too.
go out and get him, though, I mean, you become one of the top secondaries in the league. But with the two cornerbacks we have, so I
Right,
mean,
right.
Poyer is that good of a player, but I don't think Buffalo's going to get rid of them.
yeah, it's just like our defense was, elite this year, but it's like I've been saying all season long. I was saying this since September that our safeties are a liability. Joyner, Whitehead, I can't
Yeah.
stand them. I hate seeing them out there. I would rather see Ashton Davis out there than Joyner, to be completely honest with you. Marcus May, obviously, I had to move on from him, and history has proven that that's been the right decision with all of his legal issues and everything going on. But I really wish that we just had somebody better back there. So I would love Poyer personally. You are going to overpay for them, but I think that like a safety, an elite safety, just really completes this defense.
I have a feeling, though, the one thing about Joe Douglas is his way to draft, and I believe he'll draft a good safety. I think he'll go out there and go get a safety and get a nice one in late rounds because I haven't looked at the draft class, but I've heard a lot about the safeties, and there's some decent safeties that you can grab in the later rounds. that are at least like decent enough to be on a team, and they could are better than what we have right now. That's pretty much what we're saying here, and they're obviously going to be a little cheaper for us. Obviously, they're going to definitely try to get one of those top safeties, because that's our biggest need on my
Mhm.
eyes besides quarterback. Um, no, that's kind of as simple as that. But with everything else, I can see linebacker being held because we still have a lot of questions at the linebacker position. If we're going to keep CJ Mosley, or are we gonna, are we going to keep? Are we somehow going to pay Quan Alexander to stay? That's another
Right.
position to look at because we don't know what's going to happen with that position as well. So there's a lot of question marks going into the season, into the off season at least, and you know it's going to also come down to bringing that coaching staff together first. I think that's the first priority for this team, and then even if it's not on the defensive side, I think that's our first priority: getting that coaching staff together and figure out what is going on and get that together, and then bring the game plan of what they're going to try to attempt in the draft and free agency.
Do
Right.
you have confidence in the linebacker position, even if, say, Quan is not coming back? We do find a way to sign Quincy or Mosley. Do you think like our backups like Nazardine or Sherwood, do you have confidence they can fill that role in?
No,
Okay.
I
I
don't.
don't either. I don't
Okay.
either.
I've seen flashes, but I haven't seen enough for them to play a full season if one of them goes down. I like Sherwood. That's something that people have looked at, and
Right.
when he's out there, he makes plays. But we still haven't seen enough out of him to say that I'm confident in him. He has talent, obviously, and that's why he's on the team and he's still on the field. But with CJ Mosley being on the field, obviously he was named Pro Bowl or whatever. But I
Yeah.
also would even just think about releasing him. There's if you watch the film, yeah, he makes some plays, but he also makes some stupid plays, and he also makes bad tackles, and he looks like he's gassed. In the beginning of the game, he looks like he pretty much gave up. And that's kind of something that you don't want out of your captain linebacker. Is as simple as that. I like CJ Mosley. I like what he's done this year, at least finally coming back and healthy and playing the way we actually want him to play.
Mhm.
Um, but he still has to do a lot more to earn that big contract that he has. He's top paid linebacker, I think fourth top tier pay right now, and he's not showing that. Yeah, he is a Pro Bowler, but he's not. If you look at the film, yeah, he makes tackles, but he also makes a lot of plays where he just gives up, and that's not you know that all pro type talent that we signed them for. So obviously we need linebackers. It's simple as that. I like Quincy Williams a lot. Quincy Williams is fun to watch. And he makes the plays and he never gives up. And that's what see if CJ Mosley had what Quincy Williams had, a little of that boost, a little of that fight, he would be a perfect linebacker. He would be the perfect and he would be worth every single penny. Um, but he doesn't do that. So we definitely have to look at the linebacker position because that was a weakness at times. And that's why a lot of teams took advantage of running the ball on us or doing a quick screen. And we still suck with those screens. We can't tackle anyone on screens. And that has to do with the linebackers because the linebackers have to be there, and the safeties, and both positions are really bad for us. Um, so we'll see what happens. I like the youth on this team, but we need some veteran guys that can play because I think Quan will probably walk, because he'll get paid a lot more for a long-term deal somewhere else.
Yeah, I hope that we could just find a way to keep Quan. But sticking to the defense for another minute here, reports came out this week that Quinnen Williams is not willing to show up to OTAs or voluntary camp without a contract. What are your thoughts on that contract situation? Would you pay him, and what would you be willing to give him?
He deserves every penny. He deserves everything. He was the heart and soul of that defense. Um, if there's a reason we made stops, it was because of Quentin Williams was involved, or Sauce Gardner, those two
Mhm.
guys. And Quinn Williams has showed that there was a lot of buzz written out of him when he got hurt. There's a lot of people saying stuff about him, and he came out and had a Pro Bowl year. He had an All Pro year, and he got snubbed again this year. He played phenomenal, and he deserves that contract. No matter how big it is, you got to keep him because, um, you don't get those type of players anymore. You don't get like they just don't come like that, and you have a our pass rushing has not been great. Carl Lawson has not lived up to the hype. There's players that have not lived up to the expectations, and Quinn Williams finally showed that he is. And he was insane. He disappeared. I see people saying about Q disappearing last game, but it's one game. We're already out. Doesn't matter.
Right,
Um,
right.
we were at the point where he's already gassed. He already gave it all for the entire year. And the problem with this Jets team is though, I'm just gonna say this right now. When the offense
Yeah,
plays well, the defense sucks. When the defense plays well, the offense just is
sucks.
nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
We just never can play with both phases going at it, and that's how we lose football games. Um, the thing with Q is, man, he played his heart out, and I think he deserves all the money. He likes his team. I think he's a leader on the football team, and you can't lose a young leader like him, and a guy who's playing probably better than Aaron Donald right now. Not gonna lie to you, with the stat
Oh
wise and
yeah.
everything like that, he's playing better than him. So you that type of player you keep for how much? It
So
doesn't matter.
do you have like a certain number in your head? I'm hearing like 21 million a year. I saw that on Twitter today. Like what would if you had to offer him a deal? I know it's a little hypothetical, but like if you had to offer a deal, like what would you be willing to offer him? Something that's fair for him, but
So wait,
also
so how much
um,
do you guys know how much Aaron Donald gets a year?
I could look. I don't know offhand. I could look it up. Let's
Isn't it
see.
like isn't it like 15 to 18?
Let me
I would
see
give
here
him
in a second.
20.
I thought it was 15 to
I'll give him
18.
19, 20 million a year.
23 year with
It's
oh yeah,
saying
okay. Okay, 23.
It's saying Aaron Donald's annual contract value is 31.6 million. That's
Yeah.
up there. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really
Finger
think. I,
legs.
I I don't think
Finger,
there's a chance that the Jets are giving Quinn Williams $32 million. No way. It's just not happening. Maybe over time, but 23 million a year would be a hit. Donald is 32 million. Yeah. Um, I
I
feel.
mean,
I
maybe
I
with like
think he's getting.
insensitive, where he's like, if he hits this many sacks or this
Yeah.
whatever, he gets this much money
right.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Bonuses, yeah.
Bonuses.
I just get really scared, especially like with the defense, giving them contracts because as soon as I see like a Jets defensive lineman earning a contract, my
Yeah.
mind automatically goes to Muhammad Wilkerson.
Yeah.
That's who I think
Even
of.
even JFM though. Like JFM, he's been playing good, but he hasn't been to me, I don't think he's been living up to his contract. I still think he's
Yeah.
good. Like don't come at me or anything, chat, but there are times where he just doesn't show up. Doesn't
Chat
show up. He's
unleash
not
on Gino.
shut up. But I think Quinnen's a little different. But I understand what you're saying though, because Quinnen hasn't really been doing much since this year. This year has been like, okay, he's great. But I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying.
But that's what you want though. I mean, like if there's anybody to pay, he's the guy to pay too. He was
Yeah.
drafted by the Jets. He everything that he said was true. He was like, I've been with the up and downs of this team. He was there for
Yeah.
Adam Gase. Um, he went from 2 sacks his first year to 12 sacks this year. But it's just like he set a standard for himself now. He's going to get paid. We're not sure what it is, but he's going to get paid.
Right.
It's just can
By
he do
anybody.
that at a consistent level now? you know. So I would probably be comfortable like 23 million a year. I mean, it's going to be steep. It's going to be steep, but the Jets have to show, Joe Douglas especially has to show that hey, we're willing to pay our own guys. Jamal Adams, that whole thing, the Jet for Life blew up right in our face. I think obviously he made the right decision. In hindsight, he did. He made the right decision. But Quentin Williams, he doesn't speak. You don't hear about. Yeah, he had that one like he bought a gun to LaGuardia Airport. Whatever. He's a Southern boy. Rules are different down there compared to up here. But he's done everything right. He's been a pro's pro, very well spoken, very professional, doesn't cause any drama. He's everything you want. He's just a guy that shows up, works hard. I just hope that this doesn't become a situation where we're going into training camp. I don't want to see a Revis situation. I don't want to see things get ugly. Just Joe Douglas just pay the guy. Like whatever he wants. I would
Right.
be comfortable, I guess anywhere from 20 to 25. 25 is steep too, but it is what it is. Like that's the going rate for these guys. Other teams find ways to pay guys good contracts. It's time that we become a competent organization and pay our guys. Simple as that.
And also Quincy too, like you gotta pay his brother too. He
Yeah,
came
he's
out
he's
with the
nowhere
interview,
near Quinn in
you
that.
know. Oh, I understand, but he came out of the interview like I just want to be paid what I'm worth or what I'm owed and everything. So it's like, but is that going to be with the Jets? So I don't. It's sticky. It's sticky. What do you
Even
think, Ali?
This is how I see it. When there's teams out there that pay these big contracts to certain players, that shows you that you're going to pay your players. First of all, it says that you're going to keep them, and you're trying to have the talent that you have. You're trying to keep, and trying to build your own talent, and you're trying to win a winning culture with these guys. Now, when you start winning and you want players to come here, you can go back to the drawing table with that same player and renegotiate the contract. And a lot of teams have done that. If you're really about winning football games here, we're ready to win, but we need to get this guy, and we just want you to take a pay cut. And a lot of these players are taking pay cuts. I've seen it with my own eyes, and that
Right.
like just because you become a team that people want to go to and win football games at, that's something we haven't done ever. That's something we've never done. That we won football games and people want to come to New York. If the Jets start winning in New York, man, it's people want to come here.
Yeah.
Endorsements, you have all
Yeah.
the fame in the world. Your
Mm-hmm.
social media popping, literally all of that
Yeah.
stuff will come to you. And then that's kind of the question that you got to bring up to the table. Like, look, we're trying to win football games. This is what we have to offer. Besides our contract here, yeah, there's taxes or whatever it is. I know Tyreek Hill made a big thing about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna get that. But Tyreek Hill, have you thought about the endorsement you would get in New York? That would make up for it. That would all make up
Oh yeah.
for exactly what you would be missing out in Miami. And if we had a guy like Tyreek Hill on the field this year, you just give him the damn ball and let him run.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's me.
If we
Yeah.
got that job done, like that's the thing with Joe Douglas. Like even Connor Hughes on SMI was like they need to make a splash.
Yeah.
He needs to make a
Yeah.
splash this year, and this is where I feel like he will, and that's what Connor Hughes said. He's missed on Tyreek Hill, and he hasn't made that big splash yet. Trade for our own team. Yeah, we've given a big splash trade for Jamal Adams for draft picks, but we hadn't gotten the big player back. And I think this is the year that they might do, and that's why there's so much hype around Lamar Jackson because people can actually see that actually happening this year. Because
Yeah.
if you look at this football team, they're ready to win right now if they get some type of quarterback that can just move the damn ball. And Joe Douglas, and the thing is, people are saying that, Douglas has a history of not paying players in the past. Yeah, but he's fighting for his job this year. If they do not make this playoffs, they will be on the hot seat. This coaching
Yes.
staff will be on the hot seat if you're not making playoffs next year. It's simple as that. And if they want to go win playoffs, they have to make bold moves. They got to make splash moves, and that's what they're gonna have to do. It's simple. Because when they come desperate, you need to go win a football game. You should have been in the playoffs this year. We weren't expecting playoffs. Like beginning of the season, we all thought no playoffs. Maybe December football, maybe December competitive football. But even in December this year, we just sucked. We just
Yeah.
lost all the games. We kind of just threw the season away when the playoffs was right in our hands. So that goes on the coaching staff. You can blame the injuries all you want. You can blame whatever it is, but it's also on the coaching staff for not being ready for anything. Your quarterback was not ready. You didn't score touchdowns for 3 straight weeks, and you could have been in the playoffs. So that goes on the coaching staff, and that's why they're probably on a little thin ice right now. And they right now used LaFleur as the scapegoat to the
Happens. Yeah.
disaster.
Yeah.
That's what they kind of pretty much used. They used him to be safe for now. But if this continues next year, you're about to get fired because you guys are not ready to go. LaFleur was not the problem then if the same thing happens next year. So if they want to
Yeah.
fix something, they have to go out and be bold. They have to use their money and go get players because you're ready to win football games. You just need a quarterback that can make simple throws. If you go Lamar Jackson, you bring an ultimate game changer on your football team. No matter who's in the backfield, Brees Hall or whatever. But think about Brees Hall and Lamar Jackson, both running backs, pretty much going at it at you. So,
Yeah.
and you get a
I'm sorry.
quarterback out of it.
Yeah. I'm really excited. We're gonna get to like, coaching in the hot seat and all that in a second here. But just one more thing, like with free agency, it's like, do you think that right now New York is a hot commodity? Like, especially like after this season, do you think free agents are gonna want to come here, just dealing with the endorsements and everything? You have Sauce hanging out with little baby. It's like so there's some hype around this team. There's some swag with this team. So do you think that the New York Jets are a desirable market for free agents?
There won't be anyone interested in the New York Jets until you get a quarterback. It's as
Yeah,
simple as that.
I
You
think
have no
so.
Yep.
quarterback to win games. I think what the thing with Sauce can bring is maybe secondary help at safety. He would maybe recruit someone there or on the defense, but the offensive side of the ball, maybe whoever coordinator you bring in, and Robert Saleh has been seen as a top tier guy around the league by players. We already know that.
Right.
Um, if we bring an offensive coordinator that a player loves and likes, maybe that might be an interesting commodity. And when you go into free agency, you can talk about what is your quarterback play. Who's going to be the quarterback this year? Is it going to be Zach Wilson, or is it going to be an actual quarterback coming that can win us football games? And right now, it's not desirable right now because you're looking at a team that has absolutely zero quarterback play. You have three quarterbacks on your roster and they all suck. And you have nothing to show for that. And you missing the playoffs and choking, no one wants to go to that team.
Gino, what do you think?
I think he's right. I mean, you got to get a quarterback, you got to establish the offense coordinator, and then we'll just see. Because if anything's learned this year, he was the scapegoat. LaFleur was scapegoat, and we didn't replace a QB coach. So that's another problem. The defense is
Yeah.
not the problem. Now, if you were in the beginning of the season, Olbrook, there was a little bit of things, but they corrected it, and it's no big deal now. But if you're an offensive player that wants to come to the Jets, Sauce Gardner, and like I said on defense, like that they're fine, especially what Sauce Gardner has brought this year. But if you're on the offense, you got to establish a QB, good running game, good tight end, good O lineman. Well, I mean, we got three of those. We just need two. So if you want to get the all five, I mean, yeah, I think people are going to want to come here for sure.
Yeah, it really does. Like you said, Ali, though, it really does come down to the quarterback. Lamar Jackson, people are going to want to play with him. It's as simple as that. Zach Wilson, a lot of people don't want to touch him with a 10-foot pole. It's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
Mike White, he has showed flashes, but he played hurt too, which makes things difficult to assess him. But if he was hurt and that was the performance he put on while he was hurt, then that's an indictment on the coaching staff, and he shouldn't have played. It's as simple as that. Because he was playing for a contract in that Seattle game and he completely choked. Whether that was him choking or whether he was just legitimately hurt, he looked like he was hurt. And then obviously he didn't play the last week of the season because of the ribs. I don't think he should have been out there in Seattle. But I guess we could switch over to offense a little bit for now. What are your thoughts on the tight ends? Like I'm really curious about that. Actually, before we get into, I have one quick question for you because this has been bothering me all season long. The first couple weeks, just going back to defense for a second while I'm thinking about it, the first couple of weeks, the Jets defense was pretty terrible. And everyone was saying, oh, fire Ulbrich. Do you think that Robert Saleh stepped in and helped Ulbrich like behind the scenes? Because it's just kind of weird, like the way that they flipped the switch, like all of a sudden they were just great. What are your thoughts on that, real quick? I'm just curious. And then we'll get into the tight ends and offense and stuff from there.
I feel like he definitely put some notes in there. I feel like he definitely gave some advice. We obviously
Yeah.
don't know, and it's all speculation, but the switch that they had was insane.
Yeah.
They kind of flipped a switch, and they figured it out. Unless they actually went through every play and looked at every little thing, every detail, and figured out what to do correctly. Um, you know, we're never really concerned with the Jets defenses. It's always every year and out. Even if you're confident in the offense, but you're not defense. The defense always comes clutch and does whatever they can to win us football games. Our offense is always when it struggles. So, and Robert Saleh is obviously a defensive minded coach. Um, and he knows how to work. And obviously, defensive mind. Even though you're not a defensive minded coach, doesn't mean you're gonna be great. You see Todd Bowles, like in Tampa right now, their defense is not that great. It is okay, but like it's not the standard that everyone thought it would be. Everyone thinks that defense can be like static. They always just put themselves in holes in the fourth quarter, and Tom Brady just does what Tom Brady does to get them back in the game. So it's kind of he's just escaping from that. But with Robert Salah, the switch that they had, I think they just trusted the process. They kind of did the same, you know, like they did cover two, I think a couple of times. They did different things that they could adjust to, and every team they had a different game plan. So yeah, I think Robert Salah was just like, look, bro, this is what you gotta do. This is how you get
Mhm.
better, and this is how our defense will do something. We'll figure out the offense right now. Obviously, didn't figure out the offense, but the defensive side of the ball, I think he definitely chipped some ideas in his head.
Yeah, because it was just so weird for me. Like the first couple of weeks, they were just like abysmal, and then like all of a sudden, we're like, oh my God, like this is like an elite defense, you know? Like I think back to the Ravens game at the home opener, me and Gino were there, and like defense really did not look all that great, you know? So that's just something I
I
was thinking
mean,
about.
I mean, nothing about that game for the Jets was good.
No,
It was just
no,
awful. But here, Finger Lakes Jets fan said Connor Hughes tweeted that he keeps hearing the name Daryl Beeville for offensive coordinator. Um, I mean, okay.
for
What do
us
you guys
too,
think
yeah.
about that? What do you guys think about that? I mean, it's okay, but I don't know. What do you
Doesn't
think,
really
Ollie?
wow me.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, it doesn't really wow me.
I mean, I think he shared some time with Salah and Ulbrich in
Hmm.
Seattle.
Hmm.
Uh,
That
I
makes
think that's
sense.
the connection there.
I I'm just not. I don't want Robert Sala to hire a friend. You know, just keep it strictly professional. You know, just like we were all saying that we like when Adam Gase was fired, we didn't want Joe Douglas to go out and hire like a Doug Peterson. In hindsight, probably wasn't a bad idea. But just best man for the job. You know, I don't want it to be Robert Sala's best friend. You know, I want the best offensive coordinator out there. You know.
Well, it's like in the draft, you take the best available.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
instead of picking someone who, I mean, like they did with this draft. But Ollie, I wanted to ask you about the draft. So I want to switch gears to that. If you were Joe Douglas, since we have the 13th pick, right? Would you trade back, or would you go up and get someone, or would you just get the best player available? Because I know we need a few good, helpful pieces. What do you think?
Um, I mean, it depends on who falls. I think
Right.
I have my eyes on obviously offensive line. Um, and I think that's the first thing that comes in our head. If we do stay at 13, I can just see us just getting the best offensive lineman on the board, um, and then we'll go from there. Obviously, a lot can happen that could be used as trade bait. For a player if they want to get someone. That could also be something that we trade down for later on if some other team because if our offensive lineman that we want is not there, he definitely will be moving back. So um, we all know Douglas is always active on the phones during the draft. So
Right.
um, we'll see. I rather just stick with the pick, unless we're trading for like Lamar or something like that, like someone big player. Um, but I would just stick at 13.
Yeah, see. I don't think that's really gonna happen. I think he's gonna try to trade back just because we only have 5 draft picks this year, and that's very just like un Joe Douglas like. You know, that I think that kind of scares him a little bit, and he's always believed in building through the draft. Like you said, free agency is gonna be a little thin this year, so I think maybe our best bet is to trade back offensive linemen. You could find one, obviously they're better like in the early first round, but you could still find a decent one in like the mid to late first round. We don't have to trade back far to
Yeah.
get much. A lot of teams would still love to be have that 13th pick, and I think that we can kind of afford to move back a couple of spots as long as we don't get out of the first round. I don't want to be trading back for like three third round players, draft picks or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, so you think you would be going offensive lineman with your first draft pick?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And I just getting like back with the offense real quick. Do you think that like we keep both Conklin and Uzama going into next season, or would you like rather get rid of one of them? I think if we were to get rid of one of them, it would have to be Uzama. He just seems like the lesser of the two right now, and maybe develop a Ruckert. Or what are your thoughts on the
Yeah.
tight end position?
Yeah, I want Rucker on the field. There's a reason you drafted him, and he still has talent out there, and he just hasn't been able to showcase it. Um, I mean, he got his first catch in the last game of the season. So that's he was your draft pick. You should have gotten him out there. Obviously, it made sense because you paid so much money for two tight ends in free agency last year, but you have a completely different offense coordinator this year coming in. So it's not LaFleur's offense anymore. It's not into someone else is coming in, it's gonna be a new offense there. So what we're gonna have to see is, depending on what the offense is being run, um, should we just get rid of one of these guys and have Ruckert come in because he's ready to go? He's a guy that you drafted pretty highly, and I was at the Senior Bowl and I saw what they saw in him, and they obviously picked him over Trey McBride or any of those guys, because Ruckert was a guy that could fit in this offense pretty well. So I think they need to just get him out there and let him run because he's a very talented tight end.
Yeah.
Yeah, he eh, so we have 6 picks now. Okay. So it's not okay. I thought we had 5.
I'm pretty sure it is 5. I thought it was 5. I could be wrong. I heard 5. I think Jake Asman said it was 5. Could have been wrong though.
Yeah.
Whatever. 5, 6. It's still not
It's
great.
still
Not ideal,
yeah.
especially for somebody like a Joe Douglas. But so obviously, like Ali said, we have to build the offensive line. Laken Tomlinson was just a disaster. Dwayne Brown's done. Do you have
Yeah, that's
faith
what
that
I
Mekhi
thought. Here we
Becton
go.
comes back and starts?
Yeah, yeah, I'm a Mackay fan. I think it'll be
I
fine.
am too. I am too. Oh, that's what we have
That
here.
yeah, that's what I thought because Robinson.
You get
y-
ADT back as well. So
Oh, right, right, Robinson. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
Yeah, the one. Yeah, I didn't think it was 5, but it's fine. Okay, so
Jake
you're
Asman fed me
yeah.
false information.
No,
I'll have to take that up with him.
you're fine. That's funny though. Um. Oh, geez. Oh, here we go. Yes, but we got the 6 for Cashman.
We did. We did get the 6 for Cashman.
But didn't we Robinson too though?
Yeah. Yeah. We
he's
traded
on
Cashman for
Cashman's on the
Robinson.
Texans, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah.
was traded to the Texans. I
Yeah,
don't know if he
yeah,
made the team though. I don't know if he's
yeah.
is
No,
he
he
still in the
did. He was
league?
on the
Then,
field on there in the regular
yeah,
season. I think he got
yeah,
hurt. He got hurt a couple
right,
times.
right.
Oh,
Yeah,
of course
he's
he
still
did.
there. He's still there though. Yeah, he had
Of
one.
course he
He
did.
had a full season. What a shock.
Yeah, interesting.
You learn
Sweet.
something new every day and everything NYJ. Um,
That's what we do.
Ali, with everything that the Jets are going, as we keep saying, "Ooh, I feel like we're ahead of the rebuild. This team is a win now. We're only a few pieces left to get right. With Salah, Joe Douglas, and this team in the future, do you think that this year is it a make or break year, or do you still have faith in the future, like in 4 or 5 years, or this year
Like for playoffs or like
overall?
I think we have a good team. I feel like we do have a team that's ready to compete. We just need the right man in charge. We need the right man at the quarterback position. We need the right man. There's still a little bit of holes that are what players. We just have no experience. We have no experience for big games. We have no experience, and that's fine. We have a young squad that's ready to play, and they're gonna learn. Um, but I'd rather give a fight and lose rather than just losing terribly and being embarrassed. Even if it's in the first round of the playoffs, and we make the playoffs next year, say, and we lose, I'll be fine with that because at least we made the playoffs. And if we show a competitive spirit of like winning games, that's fine for me. That's enough for me to be satisfied for the team. And you have young guys everywhere. You have a if Brees Hall was still in the game, we probably would make playoffs if he was still healthy. I truly believe that we wouldn't have won the Denver Broncos game if he didn't have that touchdown before he got hurt. There is that he's just a game changer of a player, and we all know that. And just losing him changed the entire structure of this team. So you have talent. You have Garrett Wilson as a number one. He could be a top 10 wideout like that, and I think he already is. And then you have arguably the best cornerback in the league, in Sauce Gardner, and then you have young talent everywhere, and that's a huge thing for the Jets. And I haven't seen the Jets team like this well since probably the Eric Decker, Brandon Marshall days, because those guys were ready to go. We had offensive weapons, we had a run game, and that's kind of what we see here. We have offensive weapons and we have run game. We just have no quarterback to get them the ball. And that's why we kind of the play cards are there. They're not creative like you guys have mentioned before, and that's kind of screwed us over. So we just need the right man in charge. We just need a quarterback and offensive coordinator on the same page. We need those guys just to be on the same page, and I think this offense will move the ball because um, I don't think it's gonna be hard for our playmakers and our skilled players to be ready to go every Sunday, because you saw every Sunday they were getting open. The ball just wasn't reaching them. You know, that's the issue, and yeah, I mean, it's going to be a big offseason for Joe Douglas and Salah because they have to get this right. They have to get this right this time around. If not, the hot season get very hot. I could see a firing happening next year if it doesn't
Do you
go
think
the way they. Hmm.
do you think there's a playoff mandate next year?
Yes, there's a playoff mandate.
Okay. Gino, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think so. I agree with everything you said, Ali. There's a playoff mandate. Like I know some people are like, oh, you just need to continue with the 5 year plan because he's here for 5 years. Here's the thing with the 5 year plan. There's gotta be a middle ground. That's what third year's for. So if you don't get the third year right, you ain't gonna look at a fourth or fifth. Then there's hot seats coming, and then players want to request trades, and people want to leave, even get cut, and attitudes come out, like the Elijah Moore thing or other things. But I know the Elijah Moore was very different. But that's what's going to start happening, and I agree with Ali. It's this year is the year to get things all right.
I think we really need to see that CEO type head coach that we hired Robert Saleh
Yeah.
for. That's what he was advertised as. And sometimes it feels like the players just have like too much freedom. Like the players run the locker rooms. Big game, that Thursday night Jacksonville game. You have Quincy Williams coming out dressed as the Grinch. Like that was a business trip. Like like enough screwing around, enough fucking around. Seriously. Like I'm just sick of I'm sick of it. I really am. Like I'm just sick of like the players running the locker room. Like we need like like I'm a younger guy too. Like I'm not like that Bill Cowher type where like you need to get up and like curse the player out and have him almost in tears. But it's like Robert Sala has done a good job at keeping these guys like holding certain guys accountable. But then there's just certain things where it's like mind blowing that he's so loyal to certain players that he won't do anything to them. So
Yeah.
I just hope that Robert Sala could actually become that CEO type head coach. I haven't really seen that from him. He seems like more just like a almost like a Rex where he's just like someone's best friend, which just typically just doesn't end well. So, do you think that's an issue? Do you think I'm wrong there? What are you thinking?
I mean, I think he has to keep it to a minimum. I do like his spirit. I like his charisma for the players. He has the respect of the locker room. And that's huge for any team. Like you saw Adam Gase, he did not have respect from the locker room.
Right.
Robert Saleh does. He respects them as men, and I like that a lot. I like that whatever he preaches, but sometimes it gets kind of corny. Some of the stuff that he does. The little shirts saying "finished" or whatever it is. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of corny. You haven't showed anything. You haven't showed that you can be a playoff team yet. You're not a playoff team yet. You can't say all gas, no brakes and stuff and not play like that on the field. where you score no touchdowns in 3 games. Um, that's kind of there's jokes ready to become something out there, and you can't keep blaming um, injuries. You can't keep blaming what's going on with the team, the quarterback position, stuff like that. You can't. The excuses run out. The excuses
Yeah.
just go down the drain. And you were supposed to come here to change the culture. You are slowly doing that. But what changes the culture the most is winning. I hope he knows that, because winning is something that changes the culture automatically, no matter how you treat someone. So um, it's the business. Bill Belichick, he's not the nicest guy, but he's a winner and he
Yeah.
wins football games.
Yeah.
You thought of that team as being, oh, they're not going to be anywhere. They were that close to making the playoffs this year. They were one game out. If they won the game, they could have been in. So, team still knows how to coach, and he's already ready to rumored to make firings on their
Yeah.
coaching staff. That's the type of, that's how winners win. And I think Salah needs to take accountability and see what he needs to do and fix it. Make a team that wins football games. Put put a fire under your coach's ass, literally, because they need to be held accountable. You shouldn't be blowing leads. You should be in the games. You shouldn't wait until you're in a hole to actually work on offense. We've done that so many games this year where we're down by 17 already, and we had to fight back in the fourth quarter. And we're pretty good with that, but you can't rely on that. That's not a playoff team. You need to be out of the gate, ready to play and ready to play some football. He just hasn't had that. So yeah, I hate to say it. I love Robert Saleh as a coach. I like him as a person, obviously, but this is the year where you need to be like, okay, go win playoffs,
Yeah.
go do that, because that's what you need. That's what you need.
Right. And a point that, something I pointed out on, Twitter, I got absolutely roasted for. And let me just clear this up. So I made a tweet saying that, and it's true, that in Robert Saleh's first year, Gino will tell you, I got killed for this.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't care because
Everywhere. Everywhere.
it's not an opinion, it's a fact. This is a fact. Numbers, they don't lie. Obviously, they could be a little deceiving, but in Robert Saleh's first 2 years, he's only won 2 more games than Adam Gase, and one of those wins came from Ron Middleton, the tight ends coach last year against Jacksonville. I ran out of characters, so I had to quote the tweet and ask if you guys still trust the process with Robert Saleh. Nobody saw that tweet. Everybody just saw the first one, and everyone
Right.
said I was
Right.
insane.
Right.
So, but like that I was just asking, like, winning cures everything. And it's time, like you said, like, enough with the cute, all gas, no breaks, and then, not showing up. Enough with the positive vibes only, the 60%. Just go out there and win the game, and then that cures everything. With that being said, all I was saying was, yeah, in Robert Saleh's first 2 years, like, I didn't hire Robert Saleh to tell me all gas, no break and wear a cute T-shirt. I hired Robert Saleh to get us into the playoffs and win football games. Since he's been here, because
Yeah.
we fired Adam Gase, obviously two completely situations. Adam Gase's team regressed 2-14. Nobody had respect. They were just collecting paychecks, quitting on the team. That doesn't seem to be the case. But on the other hand, the last 6 games, the offense hasn't showed up. Teams haven't really necessarily ran through a brick wall for this guy. I don't think he's losing the locker room by any means. But like I said, if Quincy Williams dressing up as the Grinch, guys having, just running the locker room. Do you think that the players and the fan base should still trust the process with Robert Saleh winning 2 more games than Adam Gase?
Yeah. Um, because the way I see it is the last 2 years, you saw Joe Douglas destruct a team that was not even capable of winning 2 games, the team that actually was competing.
Right.
That's what they accomplished so far. And you got to give them credit for what they did, because they actually brought depth at positions. They actually brought talent to the team, and they
Hmm.
flipped a lot of players for picks that we're using right now, as our top tier players. And that includes Garrett Wilson. Those guys came in and were ready to play football. And that's something that we should be thankful for about what Salah and Douglas have done, because they have shown that they could destruct a team and make a team that actually is capable of winning football games. Um, Talent is a big thing about football. You don't win without talent everywhere. Um, and it's just true. That's just the facts that you need to have talent to win football games. We didn't have talent 2 years back. We had to build that. We got guys that came in. Yeah, Douglas is not going to hit on every single pick. He's not going to hit on every single thing. No GM does that, but
Right.
he's hit on most of the guys that he's gotten, and that's why we're so excited about our future because of the players that he brought in himself. He's the guy who picked him up. He's the one who traded up for them. He traded back for these guys. He did whatever he can to get them. Um, so you just got to be thankful for what they have done. But now we're past that. That's why this year is pretty much go win football games now. And that's when if you keep the same effort out there, and you see the frustration in players on the field, you've seen it on camera. You've seen Garrett Wilson throw his helmet multiple times. You saw Elijah Moore do that. You saw the defensive players also do that. You saw them miscommunication on what was going on. That shouldn't happen because you're yelling at each other. It's good to be talking about it, but they're
Mm.
angry. They're actually tossing their helmet. You're not supposed to do that. Communicating is fine, but they're tossing their helmet. They're showing aggression. They're pissed off. Denzel Mims, who was on the bench for so long, was showing frustration on the field because he couldn't get a screen pass from his quarterback.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of frustration going on this team. You need to fix that up. And that's on the coaching staff to fix that. He wants to motivate people. He needs to motivate them to win football games. They need to be out there with a game plan. And these defensive coordinators on other teams are smart. These coaches are smart. So you need to be a little bit more smarter than them if you want to win the football games. And they're going to take advantage of your bright lights. Winning coaches come in and make adjustment on the spot. We've seen them adjust in the second half a lot this year, and that's a good thing for the Jets. But we need to have a game plan in the first half that can actually work, and that's how you're going to win football games. So that goes on coaching, and obviously, like I said earlier, it is a playoff mandate this year. I wouldn't flag him for what they were trying to build because they had a lot of young talent coming in. And honestly, Zach Wilson's thing kind of like went down the drain. They thought it was going to work out, but it just has gone down the drain. I don't think they're still going to give up on him. But it's gotten to a place where we need to just see what's going on. We're going to let the veteran quarterback come in and take over. And maybe that puts Zach Wilson into perspective a little bit. So that's kind of what they're hoping for. So it's on the coaching staff to change it up. Salah's fine right now. But if he doesn't do anything this offseason, and this season and shows some type of playoff aspirations with this team, he's going to be on the hot seat.
Yeah, and I mean that's pretty much like the point I was trying to make. Like I'm not trying to sit here and compare Robert Saleh to Adam Gase. It doesn't even seem like it was like the same like organization. Like just like the leaps and bounds that we've made in 2 years is just phenomenal. And like I think we are ahead of the rebuild. But early on, like this team proved that we could go out there, we could beat Buffalo. I had a lot of faith earlier in the season that we could hang in there like teams like with Kansas City. Like the days of getting blown out are over. You know, but like you said though, like there has to be a playoff mandate next year. There has to be, because you're only as good as your record says you are, and that's the truth. You can have all the talent in the world, but if it's not coming together, if you're not winning meaningful games, what's the point of it? So, Gino, I think we're gonna get ready to wrap this up. Do you have anything else?
No, Ollie, thank you for coming on the show. I know, you've been in contact for a while. Love what you do. Keep doing what you're doing, and we'll try and link up sometime this year to do another show. But appreciate you, and go Jets.
Yeah, man.
Thank you guys
So
for
I'll
having
leave.
me.
Where can we find you on social
Yeah.
media for those who don't know? Everybody knows you on social media. That's how I found you. But for some reason, if somebody doesn't, where can somebody find you?
Yeah, it's on Instagram and Twitter. It's right here. No, there.
Other
Yep,
side.
right there.
Yep.
And it's Loyal NYJ fans on Instagram and Twitter. I also have Official Loyal Network. That's my website. A lot more content coming on there. And it's been long 8 years of covering the team and still no playoffs. So hopefully next year can end that drain. Um, but it's always good to talk about the Jets. It's always good to just let it all out, meet the fans, let them talk a little bit, and obviously I'm getting more used to getting on podcasts and stuff. So it's always fun to be talking to new Jet fans and new content creators as well. So
Yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on. Like I said this before we went on. I've been following you since like 2015, for a long time. You still are. You're like one of my go-tos for just like like if I want to find out like if Jets news is real or not. Today I went on your page and like did they really fire like they were talking about like firing LaFleur all day, like 12 1 o'clock. I'm like, does Ali have anything up there? I do, man. I go to your page all the time. You always have great content. I appreciate what you do. I love just watching you grow and build your channel and your brand over the years, man. It's been really cool to watch. So you have a fan in me, man. I appreciate everything you do. Um, Gino, you want to pull up our socials? I'll
Sure.
plug us real quick because that's what we do. You can follow Everything NYJ on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course YouTube. If you're new to the YouTube channel, or if you haven't done so already, please subscribe, like the video. It really helps bring wonderful guests like Ali onto the show. Um, we're trying to grow as well. You could follow Gino on all social media platforms as he posts that up right there. Italy Jet, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. He has a bunch of great stuff on all of his social media platforms as well. Thank you guys for watching. Great episode of the Everything NYJ podcast. Ali, thank you again for coming on. Gino, everybody, have a great night. We'll talk Jets soon.
Thanks so much.